JJ.
Hey, Natalie.
Hey, JJ.
Guess what?
What?
We're back. Man, I hope these people stuck around for part
Oh
two.
my God. And you know what? You should go and watch this video because we look like crap.
Well, we had to come back. Like we both had to go like afterwards and like go to work. I know it's hard to believe that,
What? Do you have a
Yeah,
job?
yeah, I know. And so we were like, let's come back on Friday. And then things came up, and then we're like, okay, let's do it
On
Saturday.
Saturday.
And then
Oh,
Saturday, yeah,
oh.
we're
Hell
both
no.
like,
I am not putting makeup on. You get the
uh,
most authentic
yeah.
Natalie that you get.
Hey, I
Interview
brought
me.
I think we both have clean teeth, so that's really important for the
Did you
Elliott
brush your
girls.
teeth?
I did.
I didn't.
Oh, that is your confession for the day. So,
God, that's so funny. Okay. So the
okay,
last
get
time,
serious. Last time
pull it together.
on confessions.
On the last episode of Confessions of a Reluctant Caregiver.
So this one, we're trying to get everybody caught up on exactly what's happened since we launched on the 24th.
Yeah,
And
January
this is
24th.
January 24th, exactly. This is January 24th of 2023. And this is really in a 2 month period. This is really a personal, these are really personal episodes because in 2 months, a little over 2 months,
Whew.
life has completely changed. And we always want to come back to everybody and say, okay, well, it gets really messy, as Natalie says, dumpster fire. And so this is a continuation of our dumpster fire.
It's so important though, I think, and at the end when we ultimately had to place mom in a nursing home, we want to talk about that. And it's nursing home sounds super depressing. I think there's new language. I saw something. Hey, did you see Ellen Belk's post? Ellen Belk is awesome. And she talks about how language is important
I agree
because
with that.
it's such a negative kind of association with nursing home or assisted living. And it's like, and mom even had said that, like, this is where people go to die. And she
Right.
was so afraid. And I think, and that is passed down because, again, we talked about last time we age in place. And so I think language is so important.
Yep.
And so you can call it whatever you want, but to the individual who's going to have that, live in that setting, to that community,
It's community,
it is
not
a
facility.
community.
And
It's not a facility.
Nicole Will taught me that of Will Gather.
Oh, she's so
She,
good. Listen to her podcast too.
she said that because I said facility, and that makes me think of in times
It's
past.
asylum. A facility is
Yeah,
like
way
people think a
back.
mental health asylum, or it's like
Yeah, years
terrible.
ago, and that was for our mom. That's what she associated facility with,
Absolutely.
and Nicole uses that word community, and that's what it is.
It is
What
a
we've
community
learned.
because it's a
Yeah,
group of individuals who are living together in community. This
yeah,
is their community. So you walk inside, whether it's an assisted living or it's a transitional living, it's a skilled nursing, but it's a community because you're walking into their community. And I think that's super important to
yeah,
remember is that that's their home.
yeah.
And I think, the sad part is that then if they don't feel pride in where they live, then that's going to impact their overall well-being, their mood, their emotions, their wellness,
Yeah.
because that impacts that. And we didn't plan on going that angle, but Ellen posted that. We love you, Ellen. And it was it caught my attention. I'm like, you know what? We should use the right words because they're not facilities, it's the community.
It
And
is
so we're going
community.
to say that it's a community.
So our step after our 5 moves, we've a total of 5 moves
Whew, Lord.
since 2019.
Yeah.
Uh, since I guess we started moving in September 2019 was we
Yes.
are ultimately in a nursing a
Skilled
skilled
nursing
nursing
community.
community. Is We made that decision, and when we made that decision to getting mom in the community was 30 days.
I thought that was going to be the hard part, was the decision.
Yep, I did too.
I thought the hard part was going to be the decision. And then we were like, okay, she meets criteria. She meets the level of need, because there's always, just because you think, oh, well, she needs to go to skilled nursing facility, or see what I said? That's
got to get it. We're going to make the mistake.
We're going to do it. We're going to keep screwing up. Sorry about that, guys. So she needs to go to the skilled nursing community. Then you've got, it's almost like picking colleges, Jay.
Will
I be accepted? Who's the right one to go to?
And we did. Mom's on a program, of course, for the state of Tennessee, and it's called Choices. And we are blessed because of that, because if you have not prepared, skilled nursing facilities, communities are, wow, the cost of that can financially ruin any family. And so we're blessed for that. But they told us these are the facilities, communities that are on our list. And so we visited. Emilie and Mom even visited, because we wanted Mom to be part of the decision. And we got our top one. And then we got a backup. We had a backup. We had the definite no.
It really is like college. I'm not going to lie to you, because we were doing our research. Now, I want to, before we go a little further, I want to make sure everybody understands this is not included in your insurance, really. Even skilled nursing is not included that way. And so you have to spend down. Right. You have to meet criteria and that's where they talk about the Medicaid spend down. So here's the hard part: to get in certain types of skilled nursing, if they're full continuum communities, they have independent living, which is it truly is exactly what it sounds like. It's individuals that have apartments and things like that, and they're able to truly live independently, but they live together in community. Then you go to assisted living, where you have some level of support. You have all these amenities, okay? And then you transition to skilled nursing. And there's rehab in there for times that you need short-term kind of support, if after surgeries or something's happened that you need some level. But I think the part most to get into, like when we originally looked at assisted living, and we met with some really great folks, admissions folks of those communities, they said, oh, well, you can't just go into a skilled nursing community. And we were like, why not? And they were like, well, if you're Medicaid, they're going to want you to be in their own assisted living. And at several places, they said you have to be here for 2 years before you go in. So that was very interesting. So this is an important fact as you're thinking about that, as you're planning, depending to get into some of the bougier places that do accept Medicaid. Okay. So if you're not paying independently $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 a month, and JJ and I aren't those people, so I'm making a mental note, they promote you going into that level of care. There's almost a little teeny bit of an inadvertent penalty to get in, because so we were having to look at places that there were some places that weren't even on the list, like you couldn't even choose.
So, and I think that, every state is different. And I think maybe that's a podcast. Eventually we need to probably have on.
We should have somebody from the community.
Yeah. From one of those, because that's a totally different topic on how to do that. But, every state is different. I mean, all those programs are different. And there are a lot of people that do consultants that help with that. And that's ultimately what we did.
Consultants are awesome. If you don't know about like the aging consultants, like
you get one.
Anyway, sidebar. Okay, sorry about that.
Sidebar. Okay, so we're back to us and Mom.
So we're going to start looking, and it's like we do our skilled nursing college tour.
And we picked.
We found our favorite places.
We found Harvard, and we found Chapel Hill.
Oh, that is so
And
sweet. In
yeah,
honor
I
of
did
March
that in North
Madness.
Carolina.
That is so
And
sweet.
and then we found some that just weren't the right fit. And you know what?
Oh,
I think the big decision for us was when we looked at some of them, we were like, these are great. And you got that
look at
warm
all these
hug.
amenities.
Yeah, well, there's amenities, and then some had warm hugs when you went in. And so we looked at them, and we got to that point. We worked through this immense amount of painful paperwork.
Okay, so that's the admissions process, JJ. Very similar. So you have to
That's
turn
true.
in a ton of stuff. And so we thought, so this is the big, okay, spoiler alert. We thought that all you did was just show need, like I meet criteria for this level of care, and they just accept you. And guess what?
We were denied.
We got denied. And honestly, for two overachievers, we were like, what? What do you mean you denied our mom? That was almost an affront. We're like, we hate you anyway.
Yeah. So, and it wasn't anything that she did, but I never thought that I would be denied at a nursing home. I'm like, how
It
can
was
you deny me?
pride. It was
But,
offensive.
and here's the deal. It was kind of like, you mean my skills? I haven't aged well enough. I don't understand.
Well, and so then the interesting part was, and to this goes back to regulations and stuff. This is like my wheelhouse. Okay,
This
Pete.
is your jam.
This is my jam because I was like, challenge accepted. So we start working with the young lady from the Choices program, bless her. And
Thanks, Whitney.
thanks, Whitney. I'm sure Whitney has a large caseload. So as the overachievers that we are, we helped. And so they look at the past, they look at your documentation. So when they're doing admissions, they look at your medical needs, they look at behavior. They look at, but the thing that was the big hang up was mom's Duopa pump, which is honestly, I mean, if you watch the Duopa pump video, it's like everybody can do it. It's so easy because everybody can.
Mom did it when her hands aren't really unsteady. Mom
Yeah,
can
she
do
got the
herself.
shaky.
And it's like an insulin pump already, almost. And the only thing she has to do is
Flush
in the
it.
morning, she changes her little cartridge, which has the medicine in it. And in the evening, she removes the cartridge because she doesn't sleep with it. But the important thing about that thing, and everybody needs to know this, mom at some point was taking 30 pills a day every hour and a half to 2 hours. And she was chasing that medicine to make sure that she didn't lose the effects of it.
That was
So
her whole life.
that was the whole purpose of the pump,
It was
though,
like
was
the
to make
Rain
life
Man
easier.
of watching the
And
clock.
exactly, it was like gold. And that was the answer that we got was we can't manage that.
We're
We were
not
like,
sure we can do the pump. And I thought, you have RNs on staff. And I'm confused by how using the little syringe and you flow through the water to clean it out. I mean, here's the thing. This is like a Geico commercial where they say, even a caveman could do it. I'm going to tell you, even my beagle could have done it. And so, she is really goofy.
And so that it was a really hard thing for us to understand.
We were mad.
I know we may get some flack from some people that work at
nursing community.
and we understand that it's regulations, but come on, so folks, it's the right thing to do. So we got to learn.
No. Now we're talking over each other, but here's the problem. It's a regulation. So this is why we went mom back into the community, because we wanted to see if the pump would work. But the pump has been a blessing. Okay. Even though we couldn't keep her in the community long-term because her needs of her Parkinson's symptoms have increased over the months to the point that she needs additional support that we can't provide. The problem that I have, and I think this is the ugly truth, is where we are today versus where we are 5 years ago, 6 years ago, may have been different because this is a staffing issue. And if you want to know about any facility, if you are a person who is aging and you just have normal meds, I don't think you're going to have any problem in a community. If you have any kind of complex needs from a medical standpoint where you're going to need nursing, skilled nursing, whether it's an LPN or an RN, that is going to be taken that's going to be scrutinized for your criteria for admission, because having worked in congregate care, you have to have the ability to give the meds on time. And that's in all three facilities, the assisted living, they could not get mom's meds on time because of the ratios. That's regulatory. But right now there's staffing shortages everywhere. And I think
true.
several facilities that we got denied at. So I'm totally not going to blame it on our attractiveness, Jay, even though I look pretty
That's true.
good now.
So
I think it is really a staffing shortage, and they knew they would get in regulatory trouble if they brought mom in and they were not able to meet that need. And so that doesn't help the consumer, but it does give you kind of a reason of why and that goes down a whole different path of advocacy and making sure people have appropriate pay to get the support that every person who needs that level of care, not about ability to pay. Everyone deserves equal care. And so that was our biggest problem. So we didn't even get our first choice. We did not get admitted into Harvard.
So, and you kind of let the cat out of the bag because we also, when we reapplied with our choices program and said, okay, here's number 2 that we had toured, they denied us.
We got denied again by UNC.
Yeah. Why you fell off on UNC? And then
UNC Chapel Hill was our mid-range. Oh, that seems bad. Sorry, all of our North Carolina friends.
But here's the thing. We then went like a mass approach. Like we all 3 started calling, because I think total we had about 8 options. One of the big problems was that overall our options, the more options and the lower on the list, they started getting further away from our family. Yeah. And so then we started calling.
We just stalker called, because here's the other thing. We're up against the deadline. We have 30 days. And of course we were told, oh, it's no problem on our end. We can get the paperwork done. Okay. So we're thinking, no big deal. We can of course find somewhere in 30 days. This is stupid. This is easy.
Yeah. So we turned in our notice at the apartment.
We turned in our notice.
Condo. Yeah.
We're moving out.
Yeah. So we started calling facilities and saying, before we turn in all this paperwork to the state, would your director of nursing, could we talk to them and explain the pump and see if they would accept that? It's very similar to an insulin pump. No, we don't accept that. Okay, we'll mark those off the list.
I'm like immediately like, I hate you. How can if I can't sell you, if you won't even talk to me, I can't sell you on how easy it is. Yeah. I'm a seller.
So overall, I think we went down the rabbit hole we would have been, if we had placed the applications, we were probably at about 7 that just flat out said, no, we can't do it.
They rejected us.
So interestingly enough, the place that
kind of our last choice.
It was kind of our last choice, but I want to kind of touch on why, because this is really
it's also first choice too, because so it's last choice, first choice. As you're looking at pros and cons of each place. Keep going, Jen. Right. Sorry, I got excited.
Sorry. So the last choice, first choice was the place that was closest to our family.
That's right. First
choice. Our hometown. And the reason why when mom went in was, I think a lot of it is pride.
Stigma.
It's stigma.
Stigma.
And mom, I think she would tell you the same thing. She still struggles with Parkinson's, and none of us have Parkinson's, so we can't explain it. She has said it before. She's still embarrassed by it. Mm-hmm. And she didn't want it's a small town, and she didn't want anyone to see her. And I think that's why she's always said she wanted to go to somewhere in the town, the larger city that's 20, 30 miles away. And she was an absolute no the first time that we went in there. It's an older facility, but Emilie, when she toured with it, when she toured in it, the first time she said when she walked in, her words, and it's in Lake City, Tennessee, which is Rocky Top, Tennessee.
Which is called Rocky Top, but it's really Lake City.
But Emilie said, it's like when you walk in the building, it's like a big hug.
I think
And
she
it
said a
is
big
like
Tennessee hug,
a
and we all
big
know how we are in
Tennessee hug.
Tennessee. We got no boundaries.
And she said it was just the community, the people. She said, it's a older facility, so you got to think about that. And there's no like spa room or anything like that, or beautiful pictures, or a dining room that has cathedral ceilings. But she said the attitude and the warmth and the staff. It was just. She said you could feel it. Now, Mom was absolutely no. And so we went to them and said, okay. And we were on like Monday of the Friday. I guess
So we were going to move. We had to move Mom by Friday. It's Monday.
Yeah.
Okay.
We went to them and said, this is what we got. Please.
And we were really nice.
First of all, they gave us their phone numbers. That was a
mistake.
Yeah. But they worked with us. And I think in hindsight, you have to find a facility that wants to talk with you and wants to understand you. And it's really important also. So when we had the problems with Mom, when she wasn't getting her medication on time, she had some issues with her, just kind of, when she was trying to get her medication on time, she got kind of a fussy, like she got kind of angry.
That's so sweet. We would call that disruptive.
She
would get, and so part of
she was angry.
Yeah. So let's just say this: the more dopamine that you take, she got diagnosed with this, and I thought it was crazy. It was dopamine dysregulation disorder, and that's a clinical diagnosis. And what it is that her body is craving dopamine, whether she actually needs it or not. But because she has so much of it flowing through her body, it's almost like an addiction. And one of the side effects is verbal and physical aggression, and that's exactly what it was. And so she, by documentation, had a history of verbal aggression and questionable physical aggression.
So, and that's not something that I don't feel like that's something she would have ever really been like with people. I know she wouldn't have. I mean, she'd always been she worked for the government. She'd been like the tourism director, like planner.
People, I need you to be judgment free on this one.
Yeah, when you have that's a medical.
And you want your meds, you're pissed. Give me that stuff right now. So I'm not even. This is not an embarrassing thing. So here's the problem. We were going to have, they wanted to deny us because there was concern about her level of aggression in the past. And so we had to explain it as opposed to just taking a potential no.
And they took it. They wanted to talk to us, and they took it. They said, okay, let's think about it. And we said, wait a minute. So Mom's been in a day center. And she's done great.
She was really good.
She was like a social director. Citizen. And our Laura at the day center in Knoxville. Thank you, Laura. She wrote this letter of recommendation, like college. It was beautiful. And she said, what a great job Mom had done. She had never, ever exhibited anything like that. She was a social director. And when they read it, it was like, yeah.
So that was one piece. The other piece was the Duopa pump.
Exactly.
And so we had pretty much called, because I took over on that piece, and really just didn't give them an option of saying no. And we just said, this is so easy. I mean, again, even a caveman can do it. And so we just didn't give them the option. And so I think this will be the name of the episode, Getting to a Yes. How do you get to yes?
You fight like hell.
You fight. This is where, as a caregiver, you are an advocate. We are no longer children at this point, and adult children. We are our mom's advocate. We are going to ensure that she gets the best care. And best care cannot be my definition of best care. Best care is, what is best care look like? You define that, not your personal beliefs. And so what is the best facility? what is the best option for mom? Because if you have to choose between facility and connections to other people, connections to the community, you better choose connection to the community, because the amenities are going to wear off. When you go on vacation, Jay, how many times have you looked at all the bougie amenities and then you didn't use any of them? Look, I look at the gym every time and I'm like, I'm going to work out when I'm on vacation. And then I don't.
It's true. That's
Never
true.
use it.
And I think about how our medical facility, like all of these people, things fell into place. And I know we say that so frequently. It's a God thing.
It is a God thing.
And on Friday, by the time Friday hit.
So Friday morning comes on. So wait a second. We do not have an answer as of Thursday. And
we didn't have an answer really.
No, we did. No, we did. On Thursday, I'm driving back from Richmond, Virginia, back to Roanoke, and we don't have an answer yet. And it's 2:00, and I call my friend at the facility, at the community, the admissions person, and I'm like, hey, we haven't heard an answer back yet, because the director of nursing had been out for a couple of days. Right. And she was like, oh, well, I don't know that we're going to have an answer until like Friday. And I'm like, that's not really going to work really well, because my sister's
we're homeless
and our mom, we have to be out of our place. My sister's coming in from Florida. And I said, we're going to need an answer sooner. So how do I get to a yes? And she goes, well, we really need this. And I was like, you know what? I totally understand, because I've worked in congregate settings and I know how hard it is to try to get those answers. I said, but I cannot express to you enough how grateful we would be to be able to get this answer. And I said, so when you give me a yes, so I didn't even say if, I said, when you give me a yes, so how can I get our mom? If you give me a yes today, when I get a yes today, can our mom be placed tomorrow? And she goes, well, you've got a lot of paperwork you need to do. What is that? How can I help you? And she said, well, you're going to have a history and physical, and you have to have a COVID test, and you have to have the TB test. And I'm like, because they call it a chest x-ray. That's a TB screen. And because I'm going to tell you, in congregate settings, if you come in, it is a petri dish for everybody to get sick if somebody comes in sick. So I said, girl, I know about that stuff. I deal with that. I've dealt with that for years. And I said, let me get that. I'm going to get that for you now, so you have it. And she goes, well, if you have all those things and we get it by 2:00, and we admit by 2:00, we can get your mom's meds. That's going to be the biggest things. And I said, I will get that for you. And so I called JJ, and I'm like, JJ. And she's like, what? And I'm like, I think we've got it. I've talked them into it. I need you to do this, 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 and this, because she had just gotten to Tennessee. And so in the matter of, I don't think it was 12 hours. It was almost 18 hours. We had a doctor's appointment. We had a COVID test scheduled. We had the history and physical scheduled. We were moving our mom. And then I get a call at 4:00 after, because I called at 2, and they said, we're going to say yes. And I said, well, we're going to admit tomorrow. Get ready.
And, I think, look, I know, not even think, it is about the power of connections, first of all. And if you don't have those connections, it is just about the power of just being authentic with people. And just, you got to share that story. And if you got to share your desperation and just sincerity, and just say, your belly, you got to say, please help me. Because I know the majority of the time people do want to help. And if you just say, you got to help me, please help me. I think people want to help. They need to know. It's just not what, you need to put our mom, you got to have a place for her. But once they said, they saw our desperation, or they understood our story, it was like, wait a minute, people do want to help, Nat. People do want to help. Sometimes they don't know how.
Well, I think that you have to pull at connection. You have to pull the empathy out, because sometimes it's easy to get into the rhythm of the mundane of I have to have this, I have to have this, I have to have this. And I think when they see that you're willing to put in the work, and it's not just them, and because she didn't know us from anybody, but when I started talking about my understanding of the documents that she needed and that I would have it done, and then I said, well, our mom goes to McNeely's, that's in Clinton, and we've known the McNeely's forever, and we'll get that appointment. And she was like, oh, really? I said, yes, I went to Anderson County. I said, that's where I went to high school. My family's from there. My family's from the city. It's building, you latch on to the connection and you build the rapport and you start, you do that. So anyway, go to Friday. JJ goes and gets mom for the H&B. And that's what it's physical.
We need to note that Emilie is packing. We have got the faith, and she is packing like a wild woman. The apartment, the condo that they lived in, although we had moved everything and kind of disbanded everything when we moved mom, we had restocked.
We downsized mom to an assisted living, and then we upsized her like idiots back into, and so we had to buy all these things over again, or people donated stuff to us to help us out because we were pitiful.
So Emilie, at the same time we're doing this, is trying to get everything out of this.
She's downsizing again.
So she's on Facebook. She's selling stuff. She's packing mom. She's packing herself.
You might as well have a sign that the little fly thing. What's that little fly thing that says everything must go? And they're just
everything must go
around.
So we're just bankruptcy. We are. Everything's got to go.
Well, like everything must go.
So Emilie is like, she is behind. She's getting it done. And so that morning, I get mom together. Emilie has got her together. And when I get there to pick her up, Emilie has pretty much got her together and fed, is what I say. She's got her fed, she's got her in their medicine, and she's putting her in my car. She's like, okay, go. And so we get to the doctor's office. They get us back there. That appointment lasts 2 hours. It's like 11 o'clock.
Like we're play by play right now.
11 o'clock.
We're going to have like 11 a 4 hour, JJ.
It's 11. All I handled was 2. It's 11 o'clock. We're done. 9 to 11. I only have till 2. Let's focus. So 9 to 11, I take mom. We rush to the facility because we got this deadline.
The community. And I told JJ, I'm like, don't let anyone fax anything. Get a photocopy of it and take it directly to them so they say yes. Because we were like, I mean, honestly, we were just waiting with mom in the wheelchair. Like I visualized you just throwing her in there, like, we got her.
Yeah. So I don't want to say throw. But
I know, but think about it, we're trying to push her in, because if we don't, they're not going to do an admission on Saturday or Sunday. And we had to be out by Sunday.
Yeah, we had nowhere. Yeah, the
inn was full.
The bed, the couch, the sofa, we had nowhere to go.
That's right. Okay,
okay. So 11 o'clock. So I get there at 11:30. I go and see our friend Lena at the facility, and I take everything in, and she was like, oh my gosh, they didn't do the order correctly. They had not filled out. They had not created the right form. I am devastated. I'm like,
you know what? Okay. So people understand what the order is. It is one sentence. The order is where the physician says, admit to skilled nursing. That's those magic words is what the order is, because anyone who goes into a skilled nursing facility, you have to have a physician order it. Okay, keep going.
So anyway, so Lena is so good. She creates a form for me to take back.
It was like a keep it simple, stupid form for the people at the doctor's office. Sorry, McNeely. Sorry, Trent and Howard.
So anyway, she creates the form for me. She emails it to them at 5 till 12. So she emails it, and she calls them and says, okay, look, we got to have this form. They are closing for lunch from 12 to 1. So I'm like, okay. But they said, yes, they'll do it. So I get mom some lunch, drive back out there like a maniac. I'm sitting there at the door waiting.
She's a stalker.
At 5 to 1. I get in there. They know I'm coming. I'm like, okay. And so the girls are so nice. I'm like, okay, this is what I need. So they take it to the CNA that I had seen not CNA, but the nurse practitioner I'd seen that day. And she was like, what do I do with this? I was like, I don't know. So
I clearly was not there yet, because I'm like, write the 4 words.
Yeah. So she is doing it. Then they have their office administrator come out. She comes to talk to me and says, tell me what you need. She calls the lady on the facility. They do it. And I am back at that facility at like 15 till 2. We have all the information. They sent it to the pharmacy.
The pharmacy confirms they had the medication.
They had it all. And it's there. I mean, people, it is like 15
minutes till 2. That is how close we cut it. And they said, we will admit. And so it was
I
like,
cried in the parking lot.
yeah, I think that's really important. And so I want to make sure that we don't go too long on this too, Jay.
Yeah, I cried in the parking lot. Yeah.
So I think the biggest thing, there was, we met mom, we get her stuff there. I get there at probably about 5:30 because I was driving in from Virginia. And I'm checking in, we go in and, and my initial thought was this wasn't what I envisioned our mom being in, but that's because it's not what I would envision for myself. I think it's super, super important that you set aside what you want for yourself and determine what can you afford and what is the best place based on your finances. There's a lot of variables.
But why, Natalie? Why was it when you walked in? What was it? Was it because it was an older facility?
Oh, no. I don't think it was because it was a combination of things. It was because of comments made in our past childhood as you would drive by it, that's the nursing home and that's where people go to die. And so I think if you really kind of dig deeper behind, it's not that it's look, I've worked in and ran treatment facilities for adolescents that were not like, the Marriott and the Hilton. FYI, you guys can sponsor us. But it was a totally appropriate place. It was clean. It did not smell bad. I'll always tell you, do the sniff test. If you can't figure out how to make it smell, and honestly, aging individuals, there's incontinence issues. So how does it smell? Does it feel clean? Does it feel welcoming? And it really was, if I dive deeper into it, it was the realization of this is truly mom's last placement. This is where mom will last place she will ever live. And the sobering fact of that really kind of washed all over me. And it stayed on me for at least a week and a half. And it's the realization, it is the moment that death and dying really hits you in the face. And I think that's why, people always look at skilled nursing and say, well, that's where people go to die because, people may not die there. People die in the hospital. People die in car accidents. I don't look at a car and think that's where I'm going to die, but people do associate skilled nursing as where people die. People die everywhere. And so for me over the weekend, because JJ and I we went out and bought things. We wanted mom's, for mom's place, even though, because I've joked about this because I've done this at facilities before, I'm putting lipstick on a pig. I mean, and you look how cute Miss Piggy is. And so JJ and I went and we bought things and we made it homey and as much as you can. And we were excited. We immediately made friends with all the nurses, all the CNAs. We started letting people know who we were, which is very important. How do you build connections? And then we say, our family lives here. My mom's sister will come visit. My mom's brother is going to come visit. It is really, there is intentional things that we did.
Yeah.
So that people knew our mom was not going to just be left there and no one visit.
Yeah. I think, I think really the main thing that we want to make sure that we share is, and you said it, what kind of washed over you and that feeling, those feelings. And I had mom and I took her, I took her in before you guys got there. And again, Emilie had already visited. That was a hard roll in. She was in her wheelchair. And so that kind of roll in, same thing for me, was that realization. And it was my expectations too. And I did the check-in and everything, but every piece of paper that I signed, because I'm the power of attorney, and she sat there and she shared information. And there are things that you don't expect. And they ask you those questions like, if you pass, when you pass, what funeral home would you want to go to?
No,
and
that's harsh.
Yeah, there's things. And so, we got to that room, we started, looking at it, and it's a hospital bed. And it was sobering. Same thing you said. But she was still doing okay. Interestingly enough, our uncle, his wife's mother is at the facility. He was one of the first people that came in the room. And it was, hey, Connie, this is her older brother. and she hadn't seen him in quite a while. He can't call her because he has a hearing problem. And since the time she's been in the facility, as of this recording, um, she's been in the facility a little over 2 weeks. She sees him maybe 3 times a week, him and his wife. She sees my Aunt Jane almost every day. She lives 5 minutes away. She just stops in to play a mean game of rummy. When I got back to Florida, my guilt, which is
I think
always
guilt is the right word.
guilt that I put her there, and I say that because that's what I saw it as, has been overwhelming. And I wonder if other people feel like that now. Like,
I mean, here's the thing. I have a strained relationship in a sense with mom. I am probably the least connected with mom. I'm just going to be really authentic about that.
Yeah.
And because I think it's because we're the most alike. And she's very direct and very type A, and I am very direct and very type A. And so that's okay, no matter what your relationship is. And I always like to joke, I'm hard in the sense of like, I'm like an M&M. I have a hard candy outer shell and I'm really soft on the inside. And I don't ever like for people to see that because it feels vulnerable. And so even for me, I think it felt like this is not what I would want. And then I'm like, well, damn it, I'm going to make this the best possible. But when I came home, I couldn't put my finger on it, what was wrong. It is grief. For me, it's guilt and grief. And we talked with Joy Laverde, who talks about the feelings and emotions you have is typically guilt and grief. And for me, it wasn't guilt. It was grief. The grief that of a sense of all the things I didn't get to do with mom, all the things I wish would have happened growing up. It is your childhood. It's like life starts, you have these images, I read something this morning that the amygdala holds images and it's attached to emotions. And so you see as your life passes by and the things that happen to you, I was feeling all these emotions and feelings and like little snips of images just come back to me and all the things I wish would have happened maybe. Not, and then, but on the other side of that, the trips that we took together, like it does feel like you're preparing for death. And you have to say, we're all going to die. And so how do I move past that? Because if I'm going to be depressed and whatever, well, how is that going to affect mom when I have communication with her? I mean, it's depressing.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to choose to live now. I'm going to live in the here and now. I'm going to live with joy. I'm going to live with, you got to play rummy with Jane. And of course she didn't let you beat her. But I think identifying those feelings and emotions, is really important. And then what are you going to do with it?
Hey, ladies, I need to interrupt for just a second to share about the Sisterhood membership. It's basically a sale every day. And the best part, it's free. Here's the details. We're partnering with our friends at Benefit Hub and other care partners to save you money. With over 200,000 participating companies across the US and abroad, you'll find discounts at your favorite local stores, huge savings on vacations, amazing deals on home, auto, and supplemental insurances, and everything in between. Go to confessionsofareluctantcaregiver.com to sign up, and then definitely tell your friends about it. They can join too. Trust me, there's a discount for everyone. And don't forget, it's free. Okay, back to confessing.
Yeah. We M's not on, and she was on the first one. And I think we don't speak for her at all, but I think it's important to just kind of explain her absence. And we talked with another person, just kind of trying to see how we could help her. But what we realized is that even in the 7 months that she took on this task, and when we went into it, it was with the best of intentions, but mom has progressed pretty rapidly. M's out there and like other people. You know, we talk to all these people. Maybe we didn't listen like we thought we were learning, but Emily's out there finding her new norm.
She's
Because,
struggling.
yeah.
She's struggling on a lot of different places. I think the experience of those 7 months was not what she thought it was going to be. I think to watch, to intimately be connected to watching someone's decline for a window of time, and then when it's your parent, to think that could I have done more, or why did it turn out this way? I think I don't want to speak for her. I just know that I know what she shared with us. And she said, I need to step back. I mean, you guys aren't going to see her on the podcast for a while, I would say. And she, I don't know that she'll return. And if she doesn't, that's okay. But right now, like, she's not on here because she really is not in a place to talk about this.
Yeah. And
that's okay.
Yeah. She's a little, I think she, in the beginning, well, even I know and we talk about our relationship, the three of us, it has been, it's been tense and it's been difficult. And I think I know what one of the hardest things that she has said to us, and we're so close, is that she said, and we talk about this with you, Natalie, is that I want to be a wife again, or she wanted to be a daughter with mom, is she said, I just want to be your sister. And that was like, what do you mean? Like, what are you talking about? And I think what happened was we lost her and didn't realize it, because all we talked about was, how's mom? How's mom? What's going on with mom? What's going on with mom? And mom had this at the doctor's office. And so every communication was around mom. And what we missed was, hey, so she started dating somebody, or you did this.
But she started dating somebody, but here's the reality of it. And I'm going to be really blunt about it. She lost her life, which was what my biggest concern was. Yeah. She could, because of mom's needs, yet she was fortunate she was able to meet someone. She was fortunate that he would do morning dates. But the reality is that there was no time to ask about it wasn't that I didn't ask about her personal life. It really was, the conversation was dominated about mom constantly, and she lost herself, which is very common with caregivers. You can lose yourself in caregiving. And I think that's the thing of, I want to step away from it. I want to step back, because I've got to find myself again. And that's where, and I don't want to talk about caregiving. I don't want to talk about it right now. And you know what? That's
okay.
Fine.
Yeah.
That's fine. And I'm like, and anyone who is like, what happened to your sister? I'm like, she was a caregiver and she's getting her life back. And if you like, I don't care what you actually think personally. That's me being like the middle child.
Yeah. I think,
and protective of her. You notice you can tell we're protective of her.
We're like, don't mess with her. I think, I want to speak for myself, and say this has been, this continues to be difficult for me. But I talked with Sue Ryan. If you don't know anything about Sue Ryan, you got to look Sue up. She is like a blessing and a mentor for us. But she called me to talk about business. I do my quotation. And what she led me through was a therapy session, because she asked me how I was doing with the move. And I live in a constant state of grief, or a constant state of guilt, rather. And she asked me what the guilt was, like what it was. And I was the same thing as Nat, you said, Nat, was woulda, coulda, shoulda, basically. I should have done better. And it was a lot about memories and things like that, and how I wish that she was in a better place. And she said to me, JJ, you're missing the one word. And the one word is, it truly is grief. And she asked me where I was, or where I felt like I was right now. And I said, I feel like I'm that rock bottom, and I'm digging, this hole. And she said, what are you digging for? What are you digging for? And I was like, I just am so like, I feel so bad. And she was like, you got to get out of that. And she said, the one thing that touched me was she said, you got to pick your battles, which I've always heard. And she said, but when you look at that facility and it's not what you think it should be, she said, with her husband, Jack, she said, I look at him and I see him. And she said, I have to say, did he get his teeth brushed today? Well, he might have missed that. But is that a battle? Is that the most important thing? Is that going to ruin his life? No. She said, if his shower's a little late or if he misses something, is that really a fight? Because they take good care of him. And I just have to pick the most important things. And when I started looking at mom, and I know even over the last 2 weeks and my conversations with her, the updates from my Aunt Jane, I called the other day, she didn't answer the phone. And when I talked to her again, I said, I called you. And she was like, I might have been busy. And she's played Scrabble with some lady she's met. I don't know. I think I'm my guilt and my grief that I need to work with. And that's a personal thing. Like people, I mean, you may need.
Go get a therapist.
Yeah, I know.
Like seriously, because this is the thing. It's
your personal thing. I think a lot of it is more your stuff.
Don't project
my stuff.
Here's the thing. Don't project your stuff on the individual.
Yeah. And I think
and so I said to JJ, you need a therapist. Like you need to work through this.
But I think that's what we want our listeners out of all of this.
Yeah.
And I think it's like a whole other, like emotionally, it's like a whole other episode again. But I think everybody needs to know that is that there's a lot of this that you'll take with you as you transition to other communities when you decide you can't take care of a parent or a loved one at home, if it's a spouse and they're in a medical crisis or anything like that. But don't project what your expectations are on them because a lot of it is your stuff.
It's your stuff.
That's what I have to recognize. And I got to work through my stuff and not project it on mom because I think she's okay.
No,
right now I think she's okay.
You know what? Here's the thing. It's not that you think she's okay. She is okay. Okay. And so we're going to leave you with that is that our mom is okay.
Yeah.
And we are working through accepting what is, living in the present, living with joy, living with, and that's the best that you can do. And for all the things that feel unresolved, there's support out there for you. But understand caregiver grief, guilt, all those things, those are all normal emotions that are tied back to stuff that you just need to kind of work through. And because I had caregiver grief after Jason and I came back from New York, couldn't name it, didn't know what it was, but there's so much support out there for you and you're going to be okay. Hey, Jay.
Yeah.
You're going to be okay.
I think as a family, we're
going to be okay. We're going to be okay. So guys, thank you for
listening to us.
My God, this one's long. I'm sure this was like 10 years later. We got long-winded, but I think this is so important. So if you're still with us, we appreciate it. And we'll be coming back with more updates as we move along living in skilled nursing community and how that works and giving ideas. And
we got to give them an update on Maryland. We haven't even talked about that.
Oh my Lord. Yeah. You got to talk
Mom's
about
awesome roommate.
But okay. We're like 10 years later.
Okay. Bye.
So should you just said bye. Guys, thanks for listening to us. We hope this is helpful to you and we hope you've been blessed by our story and that this will help you move it forward. Thank you guys.
Bye.